So, welcome everybody, and good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to you all around the globe, and welcome to another beautiful chat within our Intimate Conversation series. And today our guest is Catherine Newton. Welcome, Catherine.
Hello, Mandy and everyone. Lovely to be here.
Yeah, well, lovely. It's lovely to have you here, and finally we get to do this together.
Exciting, very exciting. I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, I know, we get into some really lovely conversations, and this will be no doubt no different to that. So just as a bit of an introduction, Catherine, I've known Catherine online. I've actually met her in person in Auckland many years ago at an expo we were all at, and what I can say is what I've witnessed over the years is a very dynamic woman who was not going to allow anybody to hold her back or to allow anything to come in and, stop her from moving through this as this dynamo that she is. And what I do know is that, Catherine has a heart for helping particularly women and in particular business, so entrepreneurial women who are fierce about their business and their role here as female in business. And so Catherine coaches anyone, woman or male, but it's usually a male audience, female audience. That helps. Catherine helps coach these women through their any sort of obstacles or blocks that may be coming in through their business, also to just bring their awareness to what they really want and where they really want to drive their life and promote their life. And Catherine's the girl to do it. So first question out there, Catherine, and this is what I start our conversations with, is yes. How were you as a child? Were you an aware child, a sense of knowing that you were more than this physical body and almost knowing maybe what you were here to do this lifetime?
Oh my gosh, what an amazing place to start, because the absolute truth is I was quite a loner as a child. And I learned to meditate at a very young age because of my childhood. I didn't have an easy childhood, and I would go into the cupboard and I knew about the Narnia series, The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe, and so I would go into my cupboard and I would find my stillness. And it was in those places, interestingly enough, that I felt safe. And I would go into my imagination. I did a lot of visualizing, the mental imagery of creating the life that I wanted, but I felt deeply that I was here for something different, something bigger than, and so even the dogs are agreeing with that. I don't know if you can hear them. But what I noticed, you spoke about the concept about the pioneer earlier, Mandy, and that you're interviewing a lot of people who are in that kind of pioneer space. So when I was 3 years old, I was put into the local daycare centre that had just opened. And the newspaper came and took a photo of me and put me front and center on the cover of the Bay of Plenty Times in Tauranga, New Zealand. And I was the first child that was at this daycare centre, and my mum, a divorced mother, again, unheard of in those days, had put me into this daycare centre. And I learned very, very early on that it's almost as if the divine, the universe, puts me in situations in life first. And it's almost as if this is my knowing. And it's almost as if it puts me into places and positions first to do the work, to bring my codes and to bring my frequency in. And rather than me as an adult seeing, oh, that poor 3-year-old, I see that as I'm a pioneer, and I was put there, and I was given this hard, challenging upbringing that I had to teach me to be able to help others to overcome their obstacles, to find their path, to achieve their dreams, and even with great challenges that are happening around them.
Wow.
Yeah.
Beautiful. That's beautiful. And did you hone in on certain children in daycare and school and things, like when you were?
So I think what it came down to in the end was that, as part of the process, is that I was the nurturer child. I was the teacher. I was the one that would kind of gather people around. But even through high school, I was always the friend that I would drop into a group, and I would shine my light, bring my enthusiasm, bring my positivity, and then I would leave the group. And so, and yet, as an adult, I have the most amazing group of high school friendships that are just my greatest joy, and I feel very, very grateful about that. But what I did was that, as a result of my time at the kindergarten, at the daycare centre, and all the time alone, I would get my dolls together, and I would practice being a teacher.
Right.
And so right from when I was 3 years old, and I remember taking my sister to school her first day. She was 2 years older than me, and I saw the teacher and I just knew. And so when I was in that daycare centre, then what I was doing is I was teaching the children, and I was, putting all the dolls together, and I was teaching them. And so I've always known in my heart, Mandy, that really what I am and what my legacy is that I desire to leave is I'm a teacher.
Yeah.
And I've learned a lot in life, and here I am now teaching others. And so as a result, I have to keep learning, I have to keep having the lessons, and I have to keep showing up, and I have to keep being brave and courageous. And now I feel like I'm ready to talk about it, Mandy.
Beautiful. That's lovely. It's just so, I was that kid, and I'd do the same. I set up underneath the house in the garage, I'd set it up as a classroom, and I was the teacher. And always knew that I was going to be a teacher. But when I got into high school, college it was for us, I thought I'm going off to, university, and I'm going to be a teacher. And I got to high school and I thought, this is just not for me. Honestly, I couldn't do it. There's so much contradiction between the teachers and what their rules and regulations were and what they're trying to put onto us. All of that, it wasn't for me. And I just thought, oh my goodness, well, that dream's gone.
Interesting.
And just sort of from there tried to navigate my way around where or what I was going to be doing. But of course, you just end up in your role, don't you, at the end? Somehow it just leads you into it, which it did with me. And I didn't need to go to university. I'd already been there.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
Totally.
What we're teaching. But yeah, and it's a leadership thing, isn't it, Catherine? And, that sort of gives us the voice as well. We might have had to train ourselves to bring it out more, but we've always had a voice and stood up for the unfair, eh?
Yes, it's almost like that having gone through a period of time where I didn't feel like I had a voice, and then growing wings and realizing, as a child, I was quite poorly, and it was teaching me resilience and teaching me about the healing arts. So I was very lucky to have a mother who was very much into the natural health world. And good. So I grew up with colour therapy, and I often would have healing treatments that were not the ordinary. We didn't go to the doctor, we didn't take antibiotics. And so I have always been aware. I learnt to use a pendulum at, I believe I was 11 when I learnt to use pendulum, and to connect into spirit, and to talk to my guides, and so very much I feel that I live between two worlds. Yeah, and I got the defining message some time ago, that because they kept putting me into corporate situations.
I was going to say, yeah.
Right. I've been a CEO of a multi-million-dollar company. I've been I've taught at university level, lecturing on entrepreneurship and innovation. I have been head of strategic partnerships for a large business consultancy firm. So I just kept showing up. I just kept dropping in and going, what is it I'm here to learn? And I just kept getting that I'm here to spread my light. And I was like, really, I don't want to. It's like I would be having like this little mini tantrum, and it's like, but I was having to go through the experiences, and now I've been able to put them all into good use. And now I've dropped right back into what is true for me, Mandy. I'm about to turn 53, and so I finally, it's almost like the pieces of the puzzle in my life have come together to bring me to this place where I've gathered all of the information up until this point. I'm always learning, so I haven't stopped learning.
Absolutely. I get what you're saying, though.
Yeah. And so I've been put in these corporate situations. I've been put in roles that have perhaps given me authority. And what I believe that they've done is that they've helped me to find my voice and to find what's truly important to women who are choosing to find their path and their purpose as well.
Beautiful. And did you find turning 50?
Yes.
Was that like a big, man, I've got the ticket to life now? Like I found when I turned 50, I felt like I'm now an adult. Like, I mean, I knew that anyway, but it was like something really clicked in, and I did not need the approval of anybody else anymore in any area of my life at all. It was like, there was a big click. Did that happen to you at all at 50?
There was definitely I don't need anyone to take care of me. That I am independent of my own right. There was a certainty that happened, and there was a knowing. And I think that by having this knowing, it was like it's like it gave me permission to be ambitious, and to confront my the limiting beliefs and the negative patterns. And I have to say that the age I am now, it's like it just keeps getting better. And I'm so grateful to be the age I am now, and with all of these learnings, which have been some really, really hard learnings, as well as some pretty amazing ones along the way. And I feel like what's happened is that I've come to that point where now it's like, okay, I get what I'm really here for now.
Isn't it a great feeling?
It's liberating.
It's so liberating.
Yeah.
I love it. I know. I'm 64 and I'm still moving on. It's like, wow, what else?
Amazing.
What else?
Yes, I love it.
Thinking about you're meant to be heading into retirement, that just doesn't feel right at all. And I think through this time we've had over these last three years, it sort of was like a completing of something for me and many others that I've spoken to, and it felt like, oh God, we have to start again now. We're starting again. But that starting again, when I got myself sort of looked into it and felt into it more, and instead of resisting, I realized that everything that had happened up until that point, we had been riding, in a sense. Well, I knew this was coming. I knew this as a kid, but I didn't understand how it was going to play out. And I got a bit of a shock when it started off. It was like, oh, this isn't what I thought it was going to be. but from that, it was like that was the completion of a lot for a lot of us, because we really got what was going on, and it helped us to move out of the old programs, I suppose, more so. And I think that for me was where the new beginnings sort of came in. It was like, well, now we're all really starting a new world, and now it's, you know, what do we want to do this time? We don't want to repeat it.
Yeah.
What we've already done, that's done.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's sort of exciting, at the moment.
It is exciting, and I think right now there's a lot of healing that needs to be happening in the world. And I'm certainly finding it with my clients that I work with, that the women that I'm supporting and guiding and coaching and mentoring are they're incredible women who've got a lot to offer the world. They want to make a difference.
Yes.
They're ambitious, and yet there's something that's in the way, and part of it is actually about reminding them who they are.
Yes.
And reminding them the gifts that they came with. And also, one of the things I like to share with people is that, you know, with everything that we've been going through in life in the last few years, and you know, look, let's face it, what's to come, because there's
not over yet.
It's not over yet. Is, you know, realizing that actually the support of community becomes more important than ever, because there are such polarized views out there in the world, and it's choosing, you know, choosing your battles. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
It's choosing your battles, and then getting the tribe around you who you can be there for, and who are there as your support team.
For sure. And that, I think, if anything, these last few years have weeded people out in that way too. You know, we sort of might have even gone along with a few that we thought were those people, and then all of a sudden there was this big divide, wasn't it? And it sort of showed me anyway, where a lot of people were. We all were, really.
I think one of the things that's really really helped me during this entire period is that when COVID first started, March 2020, I started a gratitude practice with a girlfriend, and because we couldn't be together, we couldn't see each other, and so we became each other's accountability partners and gratitude buddies. And so, you know, we're now going on, you know, I don't know how long it's been now, since then, almost 3 years of doing this gratitude practice, and having that structure and that habit. At first, I would do it last minute, or I would kind of put it off, and I would notice in myself, like, oh, hang on a minute, why am I not honoring this commitment? Because, you know, it was in the throes of life being chaotic, and I, you know, so it's taught me some incredible disciplines, honey, about just show up for myself every day. And for me, this last couple of years, 3 years, has been really helpful in the fact that I have developed this incredible gratitude practice that opens doors now and creates opportunities and puts me in a positive mindset. I mean, I'm you know me, I've always kind of had a positive mindset. I've always been very enthusiastic about life and about, you know, acceptance and resilience and all of those kinds of things. But I did this for me, this gratitude practice, and now it has this ripple effect, because now it's one of the things that I get my clients to do. And, you know, sometimes they come along kicking and screaming, and resisting the habit. But when we can introduce habits that help us, and we see that, and suddenly it starts to become ingrained in us in a way that is like, well, of course I have a gratitude practice. Of course I don't go to bed at night without messaging my gratitude buddy. And I think what it does, Mandy, and what it's done for me is it rewires the subconscious patterns in us, because we've made an agreement together. There's no complaining. We are not, this is not a place for complaining. And so all I'm allowed to do is see the things I'm grateful for. And oh my gosh, it's liberating. I again, it's that word
Yeah, and
word, but yeah.
And in that too, I get what you're saying. Like, I'm that person too. I've been like gung ho about life, yeah, we're here, let's get on, let's do it. And I came in very quickly. My mum sat up at 1 o'clock in the morning. My head was out. Dad ran around to the hospital 2 minutes up the road and watched me birth myself on the gurney, basically. So it was very quick. It was 20 minutes later, she said. And then I did the same with my first daughter. But so through that, I've just been positive, and I couldn't understand why people weren't so enthusiastic about life as I always was, and had the respect for it as well that I've had. But even in saying that, doing something like a gratitude journal and doing this challenge, like you're saying, there are those times where you're probably messaging her and going, oh God, I haven't got anything right now that I could say I feel grateful for, but when you go in, and you actually dissect the day, there's so much, isn't there, that we overlook a lot of the time too, because we are just busy or whatever it might be.
Yes, and you're right. There would be times when because I went through a relationship breakup during COVID. For example, which again was another evolution of my growth. And sometimes it would be like, oh my gosh, what am I grateful for today? And it would just be the really simple things. And it would be, my friends. It would be having a roof over my head. It would be having food in my belly. It would be the beautiful connection and relationship I had with my children. And it felt like there was a period of time where I was kind of on repeat, but what it did was it made me go, I am so lucky. I am so blessed. And to this day, I still feel this deep sense of just so grateful for my life and all of its challenges. Yes.
Absolutely. And I know, I've been in a day where, not feeling too well or good about life and particular things. And, I remember this day, and this elderly gentleman, the elderly tend to, particularly the men, tend to greet you a lot, good morning, good afternoon, they might used to tip the hat, now they don't. But this elderly man just walking along towards me, and he just looked at me, sort of winked and good morning, and that stuck with me all day. I thought, oh my gosh, that man and his energy, it just in that second, it just lifted me out of where I was, and I just kept going back to him all day. It was like, thank you so much for that, because it was just the smallest but simplest thing, but it just made a huge difference.
Yeah,
and I've always thought about that often and thought, we tend to walk around the world now, don't we, not interacting with anyone. We just sort of go and do our thing. You go to the supermarket, you go and you get out. Half the time people aren't even speaking to the teller. They're just, it's like that. And I've made a thing from that day. I just thought, I'm just going to say hello to people. If they don't like it, doesn't matter, they'll get it one day. They'll receive it.
You never know the effect that you're going to have on them through that, right?
Yeah,
that's beautiful, isn't it?
It is beautiful. And so, Catherine, you had some time with Bob Proctor. You did some side of him and with him, and
that was an amazing opportunity. So I met him in 2012, and he came to New Zealand, and I was actually speaking so I get to say I shared the stage with Bob Proctor, because I actually spoke on the same stage as him, which was very special. And so we had an opportunity to connect, and when I talked with him, he asked me what I was doing. It was 2012, so I was very much in that place of like, there's something happening, there's a shift, what is it? And I actually signed up to become a Bob Proctor trained coach, and specialized in his program called Thinking into Results. And it was the best thing that could have happened to me. I then went on to lead woman through his Thinking into Results program, and some brave men. And to this day, I still love his work and use it on a daily basis with myself and with my clients. he really helped me to see the power of the subconscious mind. And it was back, in 2012 when, I'd already trained as a law of attraction practitioner. I was already a life coach. I was already very much in that realm. And I could see repeatedly that people were doing the same things. They would make a promise to themselves. They would commit to something. They would create their C goal, which is what Bob talks about, right? The C goal is the goal that's way out there and it seems unachievable, and they would talk themselves out of it. They would be fearful. They would be afraid of failure. They would as I said, make promises to themselves and not follow through. And I learned so much there around the power of what he calls the secret genie, where the influence that the subconscious mind has on our limiting beliefs and on our patterns, and how we have to acknowledge it, because we can have all of the marketing strategies in the world, and all of the systems and the processes and all of the methodical things that we have to have, right, in life, and in our personal life and in our business life. But if we don't believe in ourselves, or if we have an underlying feeling of worthlessness, or we're going to sabotage ourselves, then we are going to stay in this constant loop, which is what we call the resistance loop. And for me to help people through this is, to this day, gives me great joy, and I feel like I want to honor the work that Bob did with me and the training I got firsthand from him. That has really helped me to step into the shoes that I'm owning.
Good on you. And that those sorts of opportunities like that, I mean, who knows that could come around again, but in the time, that was pretty big.
That was
huge.
Immensive. He was instrumental to me on the doors that got opened, because so I agreed to be one of his coaches, and then I flew to Los Angeles. And when I was in Los Angeles, I was invited at one of the events that we were collectively at. There was a search agent, if you like, there, and they were looking for speakers, and they were looking for people to author, and they invited me to speak and to be a co-author in a book that was being created with the Napoleon Hill Foundation. And I see Bob, he is religious, was religious about reading Think and Grow Rich, and I was too. So Think and Grow Rich became my Bible, and I was deeply entrenched in the learnings of that, which again is part of what I teach my clients too. And the underlying theme of Think and Grow Rich is dominant thought. What do you think, right? So he was me, dominant thought, Think and Grow Rich, dominant thought, Bob Proctor, dominant thought, helping people to change their subconscious thinking, dominant thought, reach your C goals, anything's possible, you can do it. And I got invited to co-author in the 75th anniversary edition of Think and Grow Rich, and we called it Think and Grow Rich Today. And when I went to Bob and I said to him, look, we get the opportunity to rewrite one of the chapters, because they're all based on a theme. And I chose the chapter on persistence. And actually, Mandy, if you like, I can give our listeners the download for the free copy of the chapter, so you don't have to buy the book.
That would be lovely.
So we'll just and that came about because Bob set me some homework, and so we were all in this training room, and we had to get into groups of 3, and he gave us the original chapter of persistence from Think and Grow Rich. And he said, right now, when you leave this conference, I want you to get together with your buddies every single day. And I want you to read the persistence chapter aloud, which took us about 35 minutes. And we did this all over December and January. So Christmas Day, New Year's Day, and we had to show up. And what that taught me back in 2012, beginning of 2013, was the significant importance of persistence and of not giving up. And you know, Mandy, there's been so many times in the last, you know, what are we now, 2023, gosh, 10 years, 11 years, that I have literally wanted to give up, not on life, but on the path, right, of helping people, of, you know,
doing what you're doing,
doing what I'm doing, right? And I would come back to that chapter, and I would come back to Bob's message. And here's what Bob said to me when we were together in 2012, when I was in a place of like, oh my goodness, I don't know if I can, you know, do what you're doing. I don't know if I can step into your shoes, because he was inviting us all to be versions of him in our own way, right? And he said, do you believe that it's possible for you to make $1 million? And I said, I'd like to think so, because I was just being honest, right? And he said to me, he leaned in and he said, Catherine, I want you to believe in my belief in you that you can do it. And that sat with me and has been fuel to my fire, and it stays with me now. And you know, and it's and that's what I know to be true now, is that when we believe, when we are able to help the people that we're here to help, right, with this interview, or Mandy with the customers and clients that we help, when we realize that actually the self-belief that they are lacking, we can share with them the belief that we have that they can do it. Sometimes that's all it takes.
It is, absolutely. It so is. Oh my gosh, yes, that's gold. It is. It's gold.
And then I had another incredible opportunity. So you know, you kind of, when you talked about the pioneer in me, it's there are opportunities that keep coming to me that I'm constantly in awe of. But so soon after that, I put Oprah on my vision board. And you know, big on vision boards, you know, was something that Bob encouraged us to do as well, and then to mentally visualize ourselves living this life. And I had a picture of me and Oprah together, and I had a note that said sharing the stage, and you know, doors will open, and you know, we were on a red carpet together. And so when Oprah came to New Zealand in 2016, I jumped on the opportunity to go and see her. But I only booked the standard general admission ticket. And this is what I mean about the power of your circle, the power of friendships, the power of community. I had a girlfriend call me and said, I think we should go VIP. And it was a lot of money, you know, at the time it was a lot of money, $2,500. And I took a deep breath and I said yes, and we did it. And what absolutely showed me that anything's possible is that, you know, I had that picture up on my vision board, right, with the sharing the stage with Oprah. So as VIPs, we got to have our own our time with Oprah. And in New Zealand, rather than it being in the green room, it was up on the stage at Spark Arena, and at the big arena. And so I walked up on stage with Oprah, and I had my moment with her, and she was beautiful, and she took time to talk to each of us and to really connect. And the photo that I have with her shows the connection that her and I had. She's literally clasping my hand like a bestie would. anyway, I shared with her a dream that I'd had 3 weeks earlier. And I get these downloads quite often, but I'd had this dream, and Oprah had come to me in the dream, and she said to me, "You have to be there." And she kind of came incognito. She drove in her limousine, got me to meet down this cafe down the back, and she just simply said, "Catherine, I want you to be there, and I want you to see this." Was the message.
Wow.
And so anyway, when I was having my sharing with her on stage, I shared that with her, and I said, "Oh, you came to me in a dream and you told me I had to be here." And I said, "I've had you on my vision board for years to share the stage." And we chuckled about the fact that New Zealand was the only place in the world, when she did her tour, that they used the stage for the photographs, because the green room was not available, or whatever it was. And so, and she said so Oprah said to me, "Oh my gosh, Catherine," she leaned into me and she said, "You're a great manifester."
Absolutely.
And that has stuck with me all of this time.
Absolutely.
And so between, Bob's words and Oprah's words,
Yeah.
it changed me, and I was able to step more fully into the pioneer that's in me, and to create habits that, that millionaires do, as they go on their journey, and to be around people who see that anything's possible too.
Isn't it amazing when things show up like that? You've created that. I mean, everything that happens in our life, we create.
Mm-hmm.
And when you really get that, when you really understand that that's how it works, isn't it just magical? And it's there. You feel the no limits.
That's it.
You really feel the no limits, and it's incredible. That's so cool.
Yes,
So
yeah.
cool.
I know, yeah. It's thank you for allowing me to talk about it, because it's that reminder that wherever we've come from in life, whether we've come from privilege or prestige, or whether we've come from nothing, we can change our lives, we can change our paradigms, we can change our limiting beliefs, we can sit in that place of hope. And I think that if there's a message that I would like to share with our listeners, is that if you are in a place where you have uncertainty in your life, or you're being affected by the economy, or by what's going on out there in the world, or perhaps you're overwhelmed and in burnout of any kind, first of all, we have to acknowledge these things, right? We have to acknowledge where we are, and start there, and then in order to move ourselves up the frequency scale, so that we get we get further up with the opportunity to attract these kinds of opportunities. What I practiced was sitting in the place of wonder, and being in that place of childlike wonder, which is what I had to do when I would go into my cupboard when I was, doing my Narnia moment when I was a child, right? So I would go in there and I would wonder, and when I are able to go into that place of wonder, I start to be curious, and I start to question, and I start to not solve problems, but just open my mind. And so, to give you an example, most people are vibrating at a frequency of 200. So if you have you ever read the book of David Hawkins, Power versus Force?
No.
Okay, highly recommend that book.
Yeah,
I would part of our training for Law of Attraction practitioner. And so that's Power versus Force by David Hawkins. And it talks about the frequency scale.
Yeah. And
on any daily basis, we are vibrating at a certain frequency. And if we are vibrating at 200 or below, we are, well, if we're around the 200, we're neutral. We're not going anywhere. We're not repelling. We're not attracting. We're in limbo. Yeah. And so you all know, right, that when you're in that place, it's like you just feel like you're taking 2 steps forward and 3 steps back, and then you're just in this waiting space.
Yeah.
So it's easy in that place to go into a place of fear or doubt or uncertainty or anger even. And those are all emotions that we have to acknowledge, right? But the way to move yourself up the frequency ladder is to simply ask yourself the question, I wonder, and then input what your problem is. I wonder how I can do this differently. I
Right.
wonder how I can get myself out of this funk. I wonder how I can make money today. I wonder who I can serve. I wonder who I can help. I wonder who needs my time. I wonder which friend I can call that will help me. You see what I'm doing there? It's a simple strategy of just saying, I wonder. And then when you go into a place of wonder, what happens is you go into the frequency of hope. And when you're in the frequency of hope, that's when the spark starts to go on. That's when you can smile. That's when you can see things that you're grateful for. That's when you can be more hopeful about your situation.
Yeah.
Then when you're in that place of hope, and this is something actually that our wonderful numerologist, Michelle Buchanan taught me years ago, was goodness, because we trained together as law of attraction practitioners, Michelle
Beautiful.
and I. Yeah. And what she taught me was I don't know when, I don't know how, but I know everything's going to work out. I don't know when, I don't know how, but I know everything's going to work out, or whatever the thing is that you're trying to do. I know my business is going to grow, or I know I'm going to meet the man of my dreams, or I know I'm going to be able to buy a house soon, or insert. So I don't know how, I don't know when, but I know, and here's what you know to be true. And then what that does, man, is it lifts the vibration, and we go into that place of hopefulness.
Yeah.
When we go into that place of hopefulness with as much enthusiasm as we can muster in the moment, we become more optimistic. And then the brain does this interesting thing. The neural pathways in the brain start to change. What they call the scientific term is the tendral spiny protrusions. And what they do is when you have this hopefulness and this optimism and this enthusiasm and this gratitude, they start to do this little thing where they like become an antenna. And that's when you get the opportunities, and that's when you get the bright spark creative ideas, and that's when you start to see that actually, oh my gosh, I could do this, or I could talk to that person, or that person might phone, or that opportunity might come to me. The key thing there is that when you have that eureka moment, you must act on it.
Yes.
And the challenge that happens, Mandy, is that people don't act on these eureka moments.
Yes, I was just going to say, and I think if anything, over years and years of working with lots and lots of people, that's probably been my biggest frustration, and with many. And now it's, you come into that neutral space where it's okay, it's their thing. Yes. But man, it used to frustrate me, and I see it a lot. Honestly, I think it's one of the biggest things.
Yes. And if people would just take, and because you see, when you're coming from that place, sorry, there's wind's blowing in my face. It's lovely though. But when the eureka moment happens, or when the solution is, you're inspired to have a solution, that's when you take action. And that's what I call inspired action. And that's the state that I get my clients in. Get you into the place of inspired action, and then you're going to have the success that you desire. If you take action from what I call the perspired place, when you are not in alignment with your thinking, when you are not feeling good, when you are, insert burnout, overwhelm, distracted, what have you, you're going to do it from a place of almost like a lack or a scarcity frequency. The thing is that the more I do this work, and the more I help the clients I'm here to serve, and the more that the mastermind group that I run, we are there as a tribe, and I help these women overcome their situations in life. And when I see it time and time again, when they're in that frequency, when they are in that place of hopefulness and of curiosity and of wonder,
yeah,
and are able to move up the frequency scale, they go into attraction mode. And that's when the clients seek them out. That's when they get, asked to speak on stages or summits, or, that's when good things happen. So why wouldn't you want more of that, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it's exciting. I love how it works. I just love how it works. I love
you must
that
see a lot of it.
Yeah, that finding out who we are and the magic, the amazing magnificence that we can create in our lives. It's just amazing. It is. It's such a cool thing.
It is, and I see the magic that you bring too, Mandy, and I just, I love the way that you just keep showing up and doing this magical work. So thank you.
Thank you. I know there's been many times, and when you were talking about that before, I was thinking, oh my God, how many times have I sat with spirit going, I'm not doing this anymore. This is just not happening. I'm not doing it. And then I'd think about, they'd sort of just back off a little bit, give me some space, and let me go through the tantrum, basically. And then I'd be searching, well, what would you do if you're not doing this?
Right.
And I'd look at that, I'd go right around it, all around, thinking, oh, I could do that, I could do that. Nothing felt the way that because really I was telling myself a big fib about not wanting to do it anymore. That's just because I was throwing my toys out of the cot. But there's just nothing ever showed up for me that said, look, this is going to be better, let's do this. It's always been this. It's lovely. And I'm so thankful, thankful. It's the people, Catherine, the people are just lovely. It blows me away. I know there's so many people out there, even over this whole cyclone that we've had, and people are saying, oh my God, I hope people put aside all their stuff and, can come together. And I'm thinking, absolutely they are. They're already doing that. And this is what we do. This is who we are, and we might say New Zealanders, but it's actually humanity. When we need each other, we're there for each other. Those who are living in that space, definitely anyway. But it's a great thing. And I'm just I think too, it's like, for us, we can see that there's change. There's so much change. And I was a little resistant to change in the earlier years. Even being unhappy in situations, you get scared to change it because I don't know what's the unknown, and now, I just can't hold on to anything. It's like
the only constant is change.
It is. Right. It is. It's
and also another quote that I absolutely love and honor is that sometimes not getting what you want is the best thing.
That can be a hard pill, though, eh?
That's a hard pill, right? Because in life we think we want things a certain way, and I think that's perhaps the place where I've come to with the most contentment and peace in my life. Is that there's been periods in my life where life has not gone as I had expected it to be. But when I hold on to that, knowing that the only constant in life is change, and sometimes not getting what you want is the best thing, and making the best of those situations, and staying principle focused, values based, purpose driven, in integrity. If you can do those things, then you have your practices, and I think that, I guess as almost like as a way to really give some significance to this call. I would really like to say to our community, to our beautiful women and the men out there that are out there doing good work, that even though it can feel sometimes like you're taking those 3 steps forward and those 2 steps back, that the sooner that you can actually use habits, routines, principles and structure. I know that goes counterintuitive to what a lot of spiritual people would want me to say. But I have learned along the way that every now and again we have to live our life from a place of what is true and what is real in this moment.
Yeah.
And if you're not getting the results that you want, you have to take a look at who you're being and what you're doing. Am I being in integrity? Am I doing what I said I would do? And am I keeping my promises and my commitment?
Yeah.
And am I doing the work? Right.
Yeah.
And for me, my entire life changed when I became disciplined about how I spend my day, how I spend my time, rather than just kind of going with, you know, what often happens in the spiritual world, like I'll just go with the flow and I'll just kind of see where spirit wants to take me, and I'll just, you know, I'll just rise when I feel like it. No, that's procrastination. That is not showing up as your best self. That is not being impeccable with your word. That is not you going all in and showing up. And I get a little bit grumpy sometimes with the spiritual community, or those that don't embrace structure. I found that, you know, when I was having my little tensions about structure, when I actually did implement a daily routine and a daily plan and meditation and yoga and disciplines, you know, intermittent fasting until midday, fasting once a week, broth fasting once a week, taking care of my health, doing the things that make my body better, my mind, my spirit, my soul, and then writing my content and consistently showing up on social media. That's when I felt more on purpose. I felt better. I felt aligned. I felt like I was finally free. And it was so good.
And it's like taking control, isn't it? Like actually getting the driver's wheel and actually taking control and driving where you want it to go, and not driving it, and it is a flow. It's allowing divine to come in and play and bring in and to surprise us even. You know,
it gives me more time.
Actually disciplining.
Yes, it gives me more time for flow, more time to play, and more time to be creative. I follow a 52 minute Pomodoro method that I learnt when I was, it would have been in my university lecturing days. It was a Harvard research, 52 minutes on and 17 minutes off. And in that 52 minutes, I would do my tasks, I would write, I would show up, I would do the work. And in the 17 minutes, I would play. I would do some yoga, or I would call a girlfriend, or I would play with my puppy, or, you know, whatever it was. But I felt like I had more freedom in those 17-minute blocks that I had throughout the day than I did when I just went with the flow and found myself being quite lethargic.
Yes, absolutely. It's not a positive thing. I don't feel it is. You know, and
I learned that the hard way, right? And I bet you did too.
Me too.
You learned it the hard way too. Yeah. Funny, isn't it?
And it's as if we have no purpose really in that space, and I think that's what. I've always stayed open to, you know, I might have this sort of day structured or planned, and then next minute I'm hearing you need to do blah blah blah, or go and you know, and often whenever I've listened and I've actioned it, it's absolutely been so spot on and perfect that I think you know, that was great. But it is, I think in the moment now, what I keep really getting very strong is that we have got to now action life into being. Because we have had such a full stop in many ways over the last few years, and then now it's just like this. We were talking before about the new world coming in. It's like we are now building into this whole space and time, a whole new way of being. If we really want to, we can, and we've been doing this all our life, of course. But it's coming into a space now where a lot who have really sat in and done the hard work internally and really cleared their vessel, that this now is where we're really creating now from a new space. We're not coming in from all the wounding behind us and through us, or it's like we're now in a clear space. A lot of us, not everyone, everyone's in different spaces, and this for me now is like really, trying to sort of get the word out there that it's time now to action that stuff. You mightn't even know where it's really heading. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's right.
Just take a step and it'll show up.
And doing it from a place of the feminine.
Yes.
So it's a very masculine frequency and it's a very Saturn energy, right? To push and we are going into a Saturn time, and I think it's important to acknowledge that when we're in that Saturn energy, that it is go, it's work, it's focus, it's taking what and it's building the plan around it and what have you. But what I have learnt to do is to take the masculine of that doing and combine it with the feminine of the being. And I have my plan, right? But I still every morning get up and I sit in stillness for half an hour and I do my meditation, and I am doing nothing, it seems.
Yes.
But while I'm in that place, I'm handing over, I'm surrendering, I am letting go, I am clearing my mind so that I can be in my sovereignty, so I can be in my feminine power, because I know that when I bring my feminine, it emits a different way of being, right? And when I bring my masculine, it's a different, I've learned that in the corporate world, right? The masculine has its place, but I think as females, especially, if we can bring our balance between the feminine and the masculine, and then if we can find a way to bring our men into their feminine, and so help them find their masculine and their feminine as well. I think this is the beautiful dance that we're doing.
Absolutely.
with where we're going, is it's not them and us. It's how can we both kind of do the dance of the masculine and the feminine together, so that we can all rise.
Absolutely. And I see that, like just saying the other day, the men's role was about looking after and protecting women, children and land, and then as life progressed on, we started having to protect ourselves against men. We the females were looking after our children, protecting from the masculine out there. And and there was there has been a huge separation. And now it's time for us to open our hearts again to men. But the thing being there is too that with this masculine feminine dance, like you're saying, coming in, their role doesn't have to be anymore about protecting us. No, like their old role was,
right? Because we're so independent now.
Yes. And their role and their heart, them coming into their heart and that feminine, is that they're not so battled up warrior type, fighting, all that stuff, all that sort of energy, the aggression.
Oh yes, oh my gosh, yes, yeah. Honestly,
I be in such balance, and that's so lovely. And I witness now. I'm witnessing so many men who have been on their own for years now. Like myself, I've been on my own for years because I didn't want to go and repeat what I'd been in many times. Working out why this didn't work. Oh well, okay, we'll work on myself a bit more. And so there's this, watching these men come forward now, and they are starting to really step up. And they've gone through their dark soul of the, dark night of the soul as well, and they're really coming out the other side going, wow, and the difference that I'm seeing in them is they truly are coming into heart and are in heart, and that balance is there. It's beautiful. That's what we want to be in.
Well, I think that what we're being called to do now, and I know that in my relationship that I'm in, it's not your it's not your standard live together and have that structure together. It's a very I don't know, just a very caring and very nurturing relationship, but we don't live together, and we don't even live in the same town, and yet we know that we care about each other greatly, and we've tried to end it, and so we've, the universe has kind of come in the way, and it's like, we find this dance, and anyway, we kind of there for each other. But what I'm loving about it is the fact that it's helping us to commit to lifelong learning. And anytime we have obstacles or challenges, that's another opportunity for growth.
Yeah.
And what I'm loving about the conversations I have with him and the conversations I have with my clients is that you get to learn something that you didn't know, or you get to unlearn something that you thought you did know.
Yes.
Right. And I have a thirst for knowledge, and he doesn't have a choice, because I'm constantly helping him to learn more, and bless him, and it's that thirst for knowledge, I think, that we all need to have, as business owners, as leaders, as pioneers, broadening your skill set, more than ever now with technology racing ahead. We have to keep up, and I'm a big believer, 30 minutes a day I'll teach myself something. So I consider myself to be quite technical, and I've been learning a lot about the AI tools that are out there. Even ran the Chat GPT training, and I'm not afraid of it, and I'm not afraid to say I'm not afraid of it. And again, people in the spiritual realm, who or people that don't see this as being the next stage of our, it's like the Industrial Revolution. We have to change things for things to improve, right? This is here. It's not going away. How can we embrace it, and how can we use it for good? How can we, people like you and I, Mandy, get out there and use it to help people, to write better blogs and to write better programs? And I mean, I'm using it constantly now to help me up level my content.
Yes.
And it's still me. It's still my fundamental ideas, and it's still me putting in keywords and summaries and slogans and headlines, and what it's doing is it's allowing me more time to be creative, to play, to coach more people, to help more people, to run my mastermind, and then to show other people how they can free up their time using these tools for good.
I know I've had a play, and I really enjoy it, and I thought the same. I did go into a little looking at some of the negatives that were coming up around it and on social media, etc. And I've come back to the place where it's me driving it. If I don't like anything, it feeds back to me. I just won't use it. I mean,
that's
it's
right.
simple, really.
It's not and those people that have the idea that it's a bad thing and it shouldn't be promoted and it shouldn't be used and what have you. It's anything can be used for bad. Like you could pick up a rock and hurt someone with it, but but we have the integrity to know that actually a rock is good in the garden, or it's good for using a doorstop, or it's good for leaving where it is, and we wouldn't pick it up and we wouldn't use it as a tool. So I think it's that definition between how we use these AI tools for good. How can we who are people of high integrity, who are here to help to change and reframe people's mindset and lead them away from their path of self-doubt and into that place of believing themselves and seeing that their potential is possible. And as I like to say, I love to help people gallop into their wildest dreams with an open heart. Right? And if you're doing that and using that with the AI tools combined, you're going to get there faster. So absolutely
no, I think it's a great thing, and I'm keen to get on and do more with it. I haven't really done much at all, to be honest. I've just gone in and had a little play, and
I just wrote an entire marketing plan with it, mapping out timelines and frames, and it's just that just gives me so much joy to see it.
It's a great tool. I think it's a great tool. And just looking back into that relationship stuff and how we navigating our way through all that. The big issue in all of it, I felt, was that there was an ownership, wasn't there? Like, when we used to go into a relationship, there was this ownership thing. he's now mine and I'm now his, and it's that sort of
Mm.
thing, and that where we're coming to now, and by the sounds of your relationship, is that it's an unconditional. You don't have a condition on him having to be right beside you, showing up for you every day and trying, whatever your program might be around what you expect from them.
Yes, exactly. Like, you put out the rubbish,
Yeah. And
Oh my
and
goodness.
slotting into those roles, it's just not about that anymore.
Yeah.
No, it really
this
isn't.
is really,
That's great.
it's so much more fun,
Yeah.
and playful and creative. It's those things that I love about life, that then I can bring it into all facets of my life, then yay.
Yeah, absolutely, yay.
Mm.
So Catherine, if there's, you've given so many gold nuggets, honestly, that I can just see going in through this chat and writing things down, taking off you what they need to.
Yes.
And so what would you like, what next, and what would you say to people now to I don't know, for somebody who's maybe, I know, okay, so let's go, what am I trying to say? It's like, so much, like we've been saying, so much is changing. The way that business is done is changing. And for those who, I'll never forget Michael Hill saying, when there was, economy collapsed, and he was saying that for him there was an opportunity, saw an opportunity. So most people would have been running for the hills saying, I'm not opening any businesses right now. He'd been trying to get in, I think he was talking about New York, trying to get into the New York, a particular space in New York.
Yes.
And leases and building, everything was too expensive, so he thought. And then there was the big collapse, and then prices dropped, so he jumped in when people were all saying, don't, it's not going to work for you. So he was saying that times like that, obviously we have, and we know this, there's opportunities that can come out of those places and spaces. So often we think, because things aren't riding so well, say COVID, no, I wouldn't open a business now. Well, lots of people had their lives turned around because of the internet, and it opened them to a whole new way of life too, and a lot of them aren't wanting to go back to where they were before and what they were doing.
Absolutely.
So in this new changing world, you're talking about the AI and keeping up with technology. I don't know, what else? Is there anything, that you would say to somebody who was thinking about coming into business or getting into business, or?
Oh my gosh, yes. I highly recommend it. It'll be the biggest personal development journey of your life. We know that to be true. I think what I would tell anyone who wants to take themselves out of the 9 to 5 and take their business idea and run with it is never stop dreaming. Because what I know is that success doesn't just happen. It all begins with a dream. That's where it starts. Every self-made millionaire, every successful entrepreneur once dreamt of getting to where they are today. And along the way, you've got to set goals. What that does is goal setting, coming back to Bob Proctor, putting your C goal in place, the lofty goal. What that's going to do is it's going to help keep you rolling towards stability and success, because you've got something to aim for. And dreaming big, this is about generating goals so that your aspirations, they never dry up, they never stop. You're always in that place of being motivated, I guess, by your goals. That helps us to maintain our focus on where we want to go, and to see the path that we need to take. And by having a dream about wanting to start a company or to help people, change people's lives, then it allows us to live a life with more passion and purpose, just as we deserve, I feel. And actually I co-created a course with Bob, sorry, not Bob Proctor, he reminds me of him, of Mike Hutchison, and we've created a course called Biz Ready, and we walk people through the 12 steps of what it takes to actually start a business. And that stems from the idea that, you know, to never stop dreaming about, you know, what you want, because otherwise you're going to die with that song still inside of you, and we know what it feels like, right?
Yeah. And I've always said to, you know, clients too, that if we think about everything as energy and everything has consciousness, even your business, you might think it's you, but your business has consciousness. And if you just sit and connect into the consciousness of that, it'll show you where it's wanting to take you.
I love that you brought that up.
You know?
Yes,
not us trying to drive it somewhere it doesn't actually want to be or go, or it's not going to be the best thing for us.
That's it.
So that's
write a letter to your business. And see and let your pen flow for 45 minutes without taking your foot off the without taking your hands off the paper. Yeah, that's right. And just let it flow, and you'll be amazed at what your business has to tell you.
Beautiful. That's cool.
All these little spiritual tips, right? The practical things you don't get taught at university.
No, and that's it, because it's created in a very physical realm, isn't it? You know, it's like that. And when we actually bring all of us into it, it works a lot better.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. That's it.
Oh, Catherine, this has been wonderful. Thank you so much for saying yes and coming in.
I'm grateful to have spent the time with you, and you know, there's I start my day every day with the intention that I'll, you know, have at least one conversation that will do something to help people, to change someone's life, or to get someone to think differently. So thank you for the opportunity to do that today.
Oh, thank you. No, it was lovely. And you're dynamic, honestly. You really are, and you've done amazingly, and you'll continue to. I know that. So I just look on and watch your gorgeous journey. I reckon. Yeah, absolutely. It's fun. Oh, so beautiful. Well, thank you again, and lots of love to you, and all the best with everything.
Thank you.